Welcome back to the Lonely Road. We're here to join you on your journey to heal and become a better human. And this topic is something that we both have dealt with drastically and impacted our life in ways that we thoroughly did not expect. But this is something that we felt you guys definitely should hear. Obviously, many of you guys may know me from my other job, my other podcast, whatever the hell. This is going to be a different show that's more topical, more fun. And it seems like KJ might actually be making an appearance on the other show, coming to hang out for a little bit at some point.
At some point,
That's
I think
exciting.
I will.
But yeah, we wanted to explore some of this stuff in depth, and I feel like this topic. I think I put it off like 2 or 3 times now,
Mm. Yeah, it's a
and it's
tough one.
just like it wasn't time.
Yeah,
And it's not even like it's so like topical that it's absolutely destructive to like my mental health or whatever. But like this one is it's kind of hard.
it is. It's really hard. And like, I've been divorced. Oh my gosh. So 2009. Yeah. Wow. So it's been a long time. I was married from 2004, 5 to 2008. I came home in 2009. So it was 2009, pretty much when the divorce went. It wasn't legal at that time. So getting a divorce was basically just saying I'm leaving, because it was with a woman. So, and it was in Utah, so it was like the uh, easy divorce, if you will, but the same the same. We had kind of our gay little church wedding, and it was real for us. The grief of it was just as much, but I didn't have the level of uh, the mental health was there, but I didn't have the level of like uh, theft that you have in yours.
And I think this is a good place to start and put this. The things that we dealt with, or negative things that some people deal with in divorce or marriage as a whole, isn't all marriage, and isn't like marriage is not a morality thing. It's you either get married because you feel like it's the right answer, you get married because you feel like you're stuck. You should get married to do it for the right things. And like obviously, with you having a gay marriage before gay marriage was accepted and everything else, there's going to be the questions of like, does it feel different than your actual marriage? Because like obviously there's more trauma in it, because like you're not protected. You know what I'm saying? Like there's so many different little things like that where it's like you kind of weren't as fucked over as you possibly could be because there was like no legal right to the other things that were yours.
True, not that I had a lot at the time, but yeah, no, that's true. It actually it was good in a lot of ways, because I didn't have to deal with any of that. Um, it's definitely different, um, than my current marriage. That's for sure.
I definitely feel that. It's weird. Honestly weird because it's like you deal with somebody for so long and then their presence in your life just is like a light switch and all of a sudden it's gone.
Yeah,
And regardless of if they were positive or negative, now everything's different.
yeah.
And like I remember everybody said Zach and Brooke. Oh, Zach and Brooke are going to go do this or do that, or we're going to do this together or that together. Like it affected our sense of self almost, especially after we got divorced and
Oh yeah.
separated. Like there's there's such a weird little disconnect there because like everybody wants to include the significant other or they don't at all. But like there's such a weird disconnect there where it's just like, oh no, I'm not two people anymore, and we weren't one. We were
No,
two
well,
people
but
in a
it's
situation.
because when you were married, it does kind of take the two lives and meld them into one. And so that's a completely different identity. You're going to be a different person. You know, you're evolving. Marriage makes you into a different human because you need
Yeah.
to take the considerations of your other half of the marriage into, take them into consideration. Um, but that being said, the same thing happens when a divorce happens, when the split happens. You then change into a completely different person, even than you were before the marriage.
Yeah, and I think that's the part of it that a lot of people, especially nowadays, with how quick and easy they are to leave and get divorced and just say, fuck everything, I don't care anymore. They don't realize
Yeah.
the support system and the situation that they put themselves in and like everything else. Like everything else could be perfect. And you're just like, I don't know who I am anymore. And I have to go do all of these things. And it's like, you don't. You just have to breathe and realize that you're also an individual person too. And everything doesn't have to be a couple thing and everything else. And it's so weird to look back at and just be like, that's a big problem. That's a big problem. And it's like you can kind of tentatively protect yourself from them, but you also can't like expect them to be total out and out taken care of either.
No,
It's
yeah,
weird.
you absolutely um, make a different way for yourself. Just like you
Yeah.
did before you were married. When you got into that union, it was a different path than you were traveling before. And the same thing after the divorce. You actually become a different version of yourself. Throughout life, there's tons of versions of yourself
Mhm.
that you end up. Could be in 1 month. There's a few different versions of yourself that show up, um, and that's okay. That's life. And the same thing happens in a divorce. It's the same thing as going through the stages of grief.
Yeah.
The grief lasts longer than you may want it to, but at the same time, you are learning a new identity, um, and
And
the
you
new
know,
community from the friends situation that you were just talking about.
yeah, you lose the biggest part of your life, regardless of if anybody wants to fully grasp that or understand that. You are relearning everything that was your life.
For sure.
If you have a good marriage, that's what it is. That's your best friend. That's everything. Like regardless of if they're a good person or not, they could be the worst fucking person to you. But you know what? You put them in a point of power in your life, and they're supposed to be important.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
and
Even
like
even in a good marriage, same thing with a shitty marriage. It's
yeah,
still a change, whether it's for the better or not. It's still a tragic event in your life. It's one of the top 3, life-changing events.
mhm. I do want to say this. I want to thank my fiance for how she's handled my divorce and everything else in this entire situation. Regardless of if we were together at the point, we were just talking, or she was living with me. As a whole, she has handled everything with fucking grace and has supported me in every single fucking way that she possibly can. Even when she knows that I am fucking struggling. Like tonight, she comes home from work, she sits down, she makes everybody dinner. She hears that I'm not fucking okay and I'm struggling with everything coming up and she's like, "I got it. I got it. I understand that you're struggling. It's okay." And I told her I was like, "Thank you." Like regardless of like that conversation went so differently than I expected it to.
Yeah, for sure.
And I posted that the other day. Like I posted this on Facebook. I probably should just start posting this shit on Twitter because probably it's more meaningful there. But I wish me now could meet Zach when I was 25 or Zach when I was 17 because god damn it, I would be able to help him so fucking much and just give him like 5 minutes worth of wisdom. And god damn it, I would change a shit ton.
I feel the same way about myself a lot, Zach, a lot. Yeah.
You remember the start of Heroes where like there's save the cheerleader, save the world? Honestly feel like in my life, I could have saved myself and saved these kids and saved everybody around me so much grief and pain if I just was able to tell myself what I needed to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep, and you can see it so clearly, after the fact. You can look back after the pain and the numbness and the haze of the first few weeks, months, years goes by, depending on if you get stuck in one of the cycles or whatever you're stuck in. Because anger can be, grief can be masked as anger, self righteousness. You can feel like you are the right person in the situation, and that can mask the grief that you're feeling from the loss of whatever that person was in your life. In my situation, she was my best friend. you know?
Yeah.
We were very, 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 very close. And it was extremely traumatic to pull myself away from that relationship.
Especially in both of our situations where they both have such extreme mental health issues
Yeah.
and their inconsistency feel like a drug almost. And it's like, oh, this it's in all honesty, without disrespect to either party, it turns your life into a game because you don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. It could be positive or negative, but goddamn, it's fucking exciting because you don't know what's happening next. And it's like, I don't want any of it.
Yeah.
And it's so weird. Like I cycled on two fucking things, and I know it's because I held myself in the situation, and it was that mental illness that she struggled with so heavily and affected mine. Is I would finally release the anger and start feeling better. And then it was pulling me back in and just holding me there because I was needed for something. And it's like, you don't want me to be a part of things, but you don't want me to be a part of your life. At the same time, fuck you.
At the same time, you need me for whatever it is that you need me for, whether it's to
Exactly.
pay that bill that you can't pay, or whether it's to have that emotional stability. Sometimes I'm off the rocker too, but for the most part, I'm 10 toes down. And in my relationships, except for one, I feel like I've been, pretty stable, while a whirlwind, and I've continually, well, 2 in any event, like, it feels like when I am in a stable mindset, it felt like at times, obviously, more often than not, we're not together anymore, but it felt like there was a whirlwind, like a tornado, a hurricane just coming at me, and it didn't have to be tomorrow. In my situation, the spectrum was quicker than that. The
Oh,
cycles were
absolutely.
were quicker, so it could
Absolutely.
be at lunchtime, I called and everything was fine. I come home from work and she's in the closet, not talking to me,
There,
threatening
there
that
were
she's gonna take
times,
her life, and
yeah.
that is something traumatic to go away from every single day to wonder what you're coming back to. It's nuts.
Oh, no, I completely understand that. There were
Yeah.
days that even when my parents were living with us, when they were homeless and they were living with us and everything wasn't okay, that there were days that I missed work because I was told that she would commit suicide if I went to work. It was just like a fucking cycle of like, what the fuck is going to happen next? I'm not saying life being a game or life being a roller coaster is always a positive thing.
Mm-mm.
But goddamn, there are some days where it feels like a fucking drip of morphine and you're still trying to figure it out because at least it's fucking challenging. And then when you zoom out and you start dealing with losing everything, you start realizing that you're not the one that was fucking up, although they make you feel like it. You're not the
True,
one that
true.
was causing it.
Although I think that, I think in both of our situations, being completely genuine and honest with ourselves, there were absolutely situations where we were in the wrong.
Mhm.
Situations where we were the ones that were the asshole, if you will.
Yeah.
Not more often than not, I don't think in either one of our cases. But
No.
I feel like not I was made to be, because that's not the wording I wanna use. I feel like I turned into a person, that I, was not and am not and was not before that, um, because of situations that I was in and the tumultuous nature of it all. It was very, very boomerang-esque, if you will.
Yeah. The levels of emotion almost made me feel like the only place that I could have emotion was her. So I kind of shut off emotions to everybody else. Like they could pour money into the cup. They could pour money into that emotional bank account that we all have for each individual person. But it's like it was able to run out as soon as it as soon as there wasn't positive coming anymore because you know what wasn't in my face. So I have somebody who's bouncing off the walls, whether it's positive or negative, and just absolutely being destructive. So the second I released all of that and kind of just let go, I was able to look at everything I did, or everything that I chose, or any choice that I made from fucking 500 feet and be like, okay, I was an asshole here, here, and here. And it was okay for me to draw this boundary here. That's not on me. And it was, and honestly, I think that should be the first thing that anybody does once they're able to get out of the emotions of it is hold yourself fucking accountable and ask what the fuck you did wrong.
Yeah,
Whether you can ask the person or not. If you can ask yourself, ask yourself. If you have to ask them, ask them. But there are so many things in this grief and this destructive feeling that divorce gives you that it absolutely causes things that you don't fucking expect.
absolutely. Absolutely. You don't expect, you know, a lot of the things that come from the aftermath and the feelings, the weather, if you will, after a divorce. It is, especially in situations where you feel abused or taken advantage of, or you feel like, you lost a certain amount of your life holding on to this idea of a situation that maybe in my situation, maybe I forced too much to begin with, you know?
Mhm.
Maybe I should have taken the hints, if you will, or the first times that there was the, no answer. I don't want to be with you. Instead of continuing to pursue the situation. It was my flag, if you will, to say to myself, that's where if I would have had better boundaries and better respect for myself, I could have made a different choice. And I hold myself accountable for my own actions and my reactions, regardless of who started the situation.
And to
Um,
that point, I've said the same exact thing to Bree. I said it the other day. I said, hey, we don't bring up the conversation of divorce unless we know it's at the end. There is no fucking, we do not fucking use that word
no.
because the second that it comes into our head, the second that we think about it, the second we have that conversation, it's fucking over. Just accept it.
Yeah. No,
Like,
I feel the same way. Like Sarah and I have had the conversation. We're both like, this is the last. Like, I'm
yeah.
not doing this again. So if this doesn't work out, it's her and her cats, me, my dog, and that's that. You know what I mean? And it's just
Mhm.
that's the way it's going to be because I don't have it in me to give this much of myself um, to something that's going to uh, turn its back on me at any given moment. Um, you know,
And I don't know if you felt this, but I know I did. One I never wanted to get married. Never. I was very, very outspoken about it. I was outspoken about all the shit that, all the men's rights activists are now. It's
mm,
unequal. It's unfair. I'm agreeing to something of you can walk in and decide to walk out at any point in time, regardless of if I did something right or wrong, and you get benefit from it. And that to me is fucking not okay. It's not okay that anybody can just decide to walk away and have to pay you 50% because they decided to. And that's on both sides. Like that's not fucking okay. It's not okay at all. So when I finally, got enough courage to get married and put all those pieces together, I struggled because I never really had a man figure in my life that was like, okay, you just have to do it this way. This is what you got to do and everything else.
right.
But when I figured it out that it's like, okay, no, this is my job now. I can't let the family I came from hurt the family that I have. And you know what? Like all those little fucking nuanced little cliches, but all
Sure.
of them are right. Oh, it's the man's job to hold this shit together. Okay. Why is it not both of our jobs to hold it together?
It is. It
And it's just
absolutely
like
is.
I went into a situation where I was told all of these cliches and everything else of like, it's my job to fix it and my job to put it back together and my job to allow myself to be held accountable. And you know what? As long as mommy's happy, everybody's happy. And it's like all of those cliches are fucking wrong. Marriage is a two-sided thing, and if you cannot accept accountability on both sides and admit you're wrong on both sides, it should never fucking happen, and you're both fucking wrong. Because if you
I feel
allow the
like 2
other
things can be
person,
true at one time. I feel like, the cliches, like I've said many times in the past, if we lived by them, if we wrote them all down and lived by them, the world would be a better place. But you can't live by some of them and not live by others. So in the situation of, you're if mama's not happy, nobody's happy. Well, I mean, honestly, if you don't treat your wife with respect, then she's not going to be happy and she's not going to be able to give any of that back to you. However, in a situation where there's abuse and disrespect coming at you constantly, that's a very difficult thing to do.
you can't openly give respect and accept everything and then get nothing. That person that's on the other side of that ring has to fill that ring back up and make sure that it's held accountable and shown that it has value.
Well, it's not
Because
on
if the
you
only
because there's
value it has is holding it together, it probably should just be a twisty tie at that point.
yeah, I mean, I agree. I honestly like the other thing that she's got to understand is, marriage is not marriage is a two-way street. You have to put it's not 50-50. You have to put 100% in. She's got to have to put 100% in. It's not he's got to fix it all. And just you got to make mama happy or nobody in the house is going to be happy. And that's the path that went for you, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
that term as a whole is not narcissistic, but in the way that it is used now, is absolutely narcissistic because you're not saying you give a fuck about anybody else in the house.
It can be. It can be, absolutely. You also have to keep in mind that you're responsible to keep your husband just as happy or your significant other spouse just as happy as you expect to be kept. And that doesn't mean in the same ways, because the same ways it takes to make you happy is not the same way as it takes to make Bree happy. You have to speak in her language and she needs to speak in your language. And that's what you learn about people as you go on,
And
like,
that's my biggest point for like why a lot of divorces happen is nobody wants to actually explain something the way that the other person needs it explained. You're explaining how you fucking feel in the most basic, generic way you possibly can, not how the other person's going to understand it. A lot of people now have mental illness. A lot of people will always jump to, I'm not valuable. You don't care. Blah 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 blah. I am ugly. Go find somebody better, and jump off the ledge of like, oh my god, I'm either the full entire one to blame, or you're an asshole. Instead of actually just hearing what the fuck you're saying, or trying to figure out exactly how to fucking explain something to somebody.
yeah. Yeah, and that's part of the dance. Part of the dance of getting to know somebody in a genuine fashion, because so many things these days are disingenuous. They're not genuine at all. And it ends up tainting the whole thing because one person ends up being not genuine, and then the other person gets defensive, and then it just piles up from there. And it doesn't. It's very hard to come back down from that point of escalation once you get
Well,
there.
it's being blindsided.
Yeah,
Uh, like, and once you start getting blindsided by whatever this truth is that's coming out, or have spewing out of your mouth, even you genuinely don't know what is the truth and what is fake anymore. I remember hearing this exact fucking line so many fucking times. I thought about leaving you on Christmas, but yet 2, 3 days later, you would hear, "Oh, Christmas is the happiest time I was ever with you ever in the 13 years we were together at that point." And it's just like, what are you talking about? Is it the worst time? Are you thinking about leaving me, or is it the end? Or is it
right,
the best time and everything's okay?
right.
You get blindsided by such a level of, was there actual cheating? No, you'll never know. You never will know. regardless of how much mental math you do, regardless of how much you will never know for certain because not a single damn person in this world will ever be honest with you enough for you to believe every single word they say. And if you're in that point where you're questioning of if they've cheated or not, you're not going to fucking believe it even if they're telling you the truth.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of truth in the things that you're the things that you're accusing are probably things that you've been guilty of or are guilty of. And so if you're just not out of the blue willy-nilly accusing your partner of cheating. There's a reason. There's a
Yeah.
reason, you know. In my situation, it took me my wife leaving a week after our wedding because for me to realize that she was cheating on me, because I trusted her to go and do whatever she needed to do with whoever she needed to do it with, because I trusted that she wouldn't do those things. But then a week after we actually had the big ceremony and people came from across the country, she then told me, "Oh, I wasn't ready to get married." But
And
I
I dealt with
didn't
the
have
same
the
thing.
boundary.
Yeah, I dealt with the same thing. I drew a boundary when I was a teenager. I said, this scumbag right here, this dude who's kissed you even after we've been together and everything else, this dude needs to go. This is a boundary now. Oh no, he's my best friend. He means nothing by it. The day
Mm.
before our wedding, hey, Kevin, I really need to talk right now. And she came out and said, "Oh, well, I was hoping he would tell me not to get married." Why the fuck are you worried about somebody else's fucking opinion?
Well,
If you
because
don't
she
get
was
married,
hoping
don't
that
do
there
it.
would be a fall guy. She wouldn't she would then have a reason to turn around and not get married, which is kind of sick after changing your mind about marriage to begin with, and also at the time having 2 children.
Yeah, that was 2017. So yeah, too. But it's just it's disgusting. It's so frustrating with how this entire world is that there's no protections in these situations for people that are being genuine. The only thing that you have is being a shitbag. That's all it is. It's what can I get out of this situation? And even if you are genuine and you love the person and you want to spend every single day with them, what happens if they're not genuine?
Yeah. That's a hard and jagged pill to swallow, my friend. Um, it is, because I had no idea that, my ex wasn't, being genuine throughout our relationship. I believe at times she was, but I can't trust that. I have such an insecurity where my own gauge of that in that particular relationship is concerned, um, at that time, that I couldn't tell you when, um, she was actually being genuine, and when she wasn't. And that makes me tear up to this day. It does.
Because you don't really know exactly how much they're being honest with you or how much you're being truthful or how much like the
Yeah.
person that you fucking loved or cared about isn't there anymore. And that's a weird fucking realization to come to. And I hear you and Brenda and my mom say it all the fucking time. It's like the person that you loved isn't there anymore. And it's like, nah, I still see it. I still can see, the person that was my best friend for so many years. Oh, nope, they're fucking gone again. Yeah, I got 5 seconds of it. I got one kind message of being understanding. And I was like, oh my God, look, things could go the right way. And now all of a sudden they're crashing again.
Mhm. Yeah, it's
And
crazy when you get into that cycle of, the push and the pull. The push and the pull was a really big, component in my first marriage. It was very much a, "Come here, be close to me," and then, I can't, and I don't have it, and I barely have it for me, so how am I supposed to have it for you? And that was back and forth for the entire time we were together. It was
And
very
that just
exhausting.
leads to feeling like you're being taken advantage of. It feels like you're being abused. It is so surreal to feel like, "Oh, I need you, I need you, I no, get the fuck away from me." It's like, where is the solid ground that you're supposed to build for me and I'm supposed to build for you if you can't even tell me exactly how the fuck you're feeling?
Yeah. Yeah, it was a place where I thought we were supposed to be growing up. You know, we were still growing up, so it was a place where I thought we were supposed to be growing into better people together, and it just didn't turn out that way. There wasn't space for me to become the better person that I was craving to be at that time because I was so worried about what was going to happen next.
Yeah, it's just weird, man. Like, and I understand that there's such an explanation of like, oh, well, they were just out for themselves. And it's just like,
Possibly.
how can you just write it off as they were just out for themselves from day one?
How do I
Because
know
at
that
some point
though?
it changes. Yeah,
How do I
exactly.
know? How do we know anything? You know, I mean, honestly, how can you trust or even be able to be secure in knowing that or what that was for them? Um, After all the inconsistencies and lies and you know, I mean the going behind the back and texting other people and seeing other people and fucking other people and it it absolutely wrapped such a circle around me with all these cycles and this back and forth, and I didn't know how to get out of it, and I really wish that I would have been able to stand on my own 2 feet for myself. I feel like I did that for other people, but I don't feel like I did that for myself. I feel like I left myself floundering.
And it's hard because you're shown to give other people more.
Yeah,
Your entire life, you're told that giving yourself something is selfish. And if you don't give everybody else first, and it's like, if I don't give to myself, how can anybody else fucking eat off the table?
yeah,
If I'm not able to put it on the fucking table, how can anybody else eat?
yep,
And it's just like, it is surreal to look at that as the answer now.
it is, surreal to know that I'm giving myself permission, to fill my cup first, so that I can fill the cup of my marriage. You know, and my marriage gets stronger and stronger every day. We've absolutely gone through our challenges. We both know it. And neither one of us have thrown the word divorce around or thought, you know, been at a place even where we thought that we could even move forward without each other. Have there been tumultuous times? Yeah. Have we gotten physically, have we gotten physically abusive with each other? No, because we respect each other. We don't talk out the side of our mouth at each other. We respect each other to a level. When we tease, it's just teasing. We don't go over that line that we were discussing last week. Um, and it's hard when you're grieving your divorce, your breakup, that complete and utter 180 of your entire life. Um, it's hard to see the good that did get brought to you throughout those years. And you have to, although there are, you know, obviously the bad outweighed the good. That's why you're divorced. That's why I'm divorced. Um, but at the same time, after when you're coming out of that grief or out of that grief, you then can take a look back and kind of take out of that relationship the things that you're meant to take out of that relationship and move and in your journey forward, because that person was in your life for a reason, and it
And
was more
it's
than just granting you those 3 beautiful children that you have.
and it's weird. Like, I give her so much credit for a lot of things that I fixed. I was a fuck up.
Yeah,
I felt like I was too big to reach out to people like my grandparents and see them again or be honest with them with what happened and why I wanted to walk away. She sat there with me after my neck injury and like, no, you got to do this. You actually have, like, what happens? What happens? Even if the answer is they don't fucking care, at least fucking find it out. They have two great grandkids that they'll never meet. Guess what? They love them more than anything in the fucking world.
Mhm.
And you know what? I honestly, there's a lot of things that she was a shithead on and a piece of shit in so many fucking ways.
Yeah.
But there is so much light that she also brought to me in
Yeah.
this fucking life.
Yeah.
I will never be able to be like, I am angry forever,
No.
because I'm not.
No.
Even in all of the pits of bullshit that I'm currently dealing with,
Mhm.
I don't want her to deal with it.
No.
I
You don't
don't.
want ill for her. You don't want bad for her. You just don't wanna be taken advantage of anymore.
I want to be able to take these knives out of my back and stand the fuck up.
Mhm. Yep. And you're just not going to allow the knives to be thrown at you anymore like that. And that's what this is. This isn't, oh, we're going to fuck you as much as we can absolutely fuck you. That's not what this is about. This is about, no, you absolutely raked me through the coals and divorced me underneath my fucking feet without me even knowing about it, and took things, stole things that did not belong to you, that were not property of our marriage. So I need to set boundaries so that I can recover some of that loss, because ripping you literally from being a part of my body was bad enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, maybe how I dealt with divorce was wrong. Maybe it wasn't the right way to go about it. Maybe it wasn't, having to deal with the emotions first and then deal with the monetary shit and everything in steps. But as a whole, I think I'm a better person for dealing with it the way I dealt with it.
Yeah.
I don't think that divorce should be a fucking month-long thing and that's it. It should probably be a year or 2 years, because if you can get the fuck out of your feels and stop talking shit, maybe you can see the other person on the other side, regardless of what they did to you, whether you're in the right or they are. They're a human. If they're a piece of shit, they're a piece of shit. I'm not ever going to glaze a fucking abuser or anything like that. But as a whole, you had good times with that person. The reason you had good times with that person is because at some point they were acceptable,
Mhm.
or at least acceptable enough for you to allow them in your life to that level,
Yep.
even if it is a mistake. Even if you are Kim Kardashian and you're marrying somebody for 72 fucking days, and just say, "Oh, fuck it. I'm just going to get my divorce." Or, you come to somebody's house 5 days after you get married, the day after your anniversary, and you're like, "Oh my god, I'll give up everything I have. You know what? I'll get divorced right now. I'll have everything annulled. I'll come home." Oh, wait, that was you. You filed the paperwork. You wanted this so bad because you wanted control. You wanted to be able to get me to shut up because you fucked up. You didn't want me to move on. You didn't want me to be okay. You didn't want me to be happy without you. And guess what? I'm happier than I ever had been, even with everything you took from me,
Well,
the
that's what
things you
happens.
stole from me, and everything else.
That's what happens with spite. That's what happens when you turn spiteful. And the karma is just coming and raining back down on her. And you don't have to do anything. That's why your advice from the people that you ask advice from is to play chess, not checkers, Zachary, even though you want to king me on the checkerboard and go over her 7 times to the other end. You don't, because that's too fast of a game. Slowing down and chilling out is the best medicine, because that allows karma time to do its work on its own, and that's really what needs to be done, you
And
know.
it's the answer of how it works. There are steps in this situation that I don't think a lot of people take when they go through a divorce. She didn't even take when she went through a divorce. She didn't fix her. She hopped on a new dick before she even left the first one.
No, it was interesting, as well. Like I remember the last part of my marriage was us going to couples counseling, because I felt like that was the next obvious step. Go to the couples counseling, see what we can do to fix this. That was my point of view. In couples counseling, I found out that her point of view, and she was going to couples counseling to find out if our relationship was worth fixing. I was there to fix things, to learn how to communicate with her. She was there to see if our relationship was worth it. I already knew our relationship was worth it. I just needed to understand how to communicate in ways that she'd hear me. But that wasn't what she wanted. I think that was the second to last thing that opened my eyes that it was over.
And like, honestly, I think a lot of those things, like couples counseling and stuff like that, obviously in smaller situations where things are blowing up, but like are like, okay, you change this and all of a sudden it works. In those situations, it's going to be beneficial. But if there is somebody who is like so fucking gaslighty and wants to destroy everything you possibly can, that's precisely what they're going to do in those situations. They're going to tear you down and make you feel like a piece of shit. Not because you may or may not need fucking therapy, because you probably do need therapy. Most people do. But you need the kind of therapy that you specifically need. And most people, that's not hearing about how you're a lazy piece of shit.
Yeah.
Most people, that's not hearing about how you're a gaslighty asshole. It's actually understanding where the fuck you need to fix things and put things back together.
Mm-hmm.
It's not being
Yep.
told where you're wrong. It's being told how you're right and how to fix it.
But one thing I do know, in both of our situations, it appears to me that the other parties are, quick to turn around, move on, not reflect, or change moving forward. It's the same situations over and over for them.
Mhm.
Whereas we stopped, dropped, and rolled a little bit, and we were like, wait a second, we got to put out this fire, and stop the burn. And I got to figure out why this is happening, why I'm doing the things that I'm doing so that I can move forward and act differently, even if some of those things were catalysts to the way they treated you, because in both of our
Exactly.
situations, there was physical abuse.
And it becomes hell. It becomes
Mhm.
hell, especially when there's kids in the situation and
Yeah, I'm
everything
sure.
else. You have such a big fucking trauma and disconnect from the fucking world because you're looked at as the piece of shit regardless.
Yeah.
And I shared this video the other day and it blew my fucking mind because it like clicked and I'm just like, oh my fucking God. And you know what? I'm going to say it with my words too because I really don't care. It's crazy how a stepfather is somebody who you met at a bar or your job or whatever, and they get more days than a real dad does because they made you happy for 30 minutes. Meanwhile, the dad's arguing for fucking getting 8 overnights a fucking year, 8 overnights a month, and just wanting to see his kid. And that doesn't take into context that that person could be a fucking PDF or anything else. That's just saying that they met somebody. And all of a sudden they have more rights to that kid than the parent does.
Yeah. That's a slap in the dick, bud.
It is.
Yeah.
Because no matter what anybody wants to say in these situations, and this might be me being slightly bitter, but I see it so often and it's really hard not to see the confirmation bias in it. A lot of women, when they leave, they will hop on the first fucking thing that they can find. And then that becomes, the love of their life, and they're going to fix everything with this person. And they don't even take a second to fucking see who they are.
Yeah. I don't think that's particular to women, bud. I know that's your experience. And I'm really sorry that was your experience. But I think it happens with both genders, to be honest with you. It just depends
Oh,
on the personality.
I don't disagree with that. I'm just saying that I think when men find a woman, they'll find somebody that's in it for them. Normally, a
Some,
stepmom normally isn't in it for the kids. My stepmom for my kids, absolutely fantastic. My stepmom, as I was growing up, literally had a mole on her face and didn't give a fuck about kids and made jokes about abusing me. So as a whole, I don't think stepmoms are there most of the time for the kids. They just aren't. They're there for the dad. They're there for the money. There's another reason why they're there. But that dude is just there because he got you into bed the first time half the time. They're happy that they have a couch to sleep on, even if they make you mad, and that they have a place to put their boots under. And they understand that this is the best they're going to get. It's abused. It's sad.
That is the case in some situations, yeah. It's a crazy road. Divorce is, I mean, it is a grief process like no other. I mean, it definitely is the end of a part of you, and an end to someone that you may have known completely, but you may have thought you knew who they were, or maybe visioned that they were somebody different than they were, or really didn't grasp the whole person that they were. But in any event, for whatever reason for you that didn't work out, it is quite the process to, as I put it earlier, stop, drop, and roll. It's quite the process to stop, to reflect, to go through the grief process, all of the stages that you have to without getting stuck or snagged, or try to get retribution or whatever you think you deserve. It's a hard process to keep yourself in line, and moving forward to being better than you were in that marriage, regardless of whose fault the divorce was or who left who. You always want to become a better person, and the spite and the rage and the anger isn't going to help that happen for you.
And whether you're going into this and you're day one, you're just handed divorce papers, or they just walked out the door today, or you're 4 or 5 years into this, and shit still not fucking. You're not 10 toes down yet. You don't know what's wrong with you. You don't
That's
know what
okay.
you did wrong in the situation.
Yep.
First off, it's fucking okay.
Yep.
Second off,
Breathe.
get to 3 or 4 people that you can fucking trust in 110%. I know it's fucking hard to do that. Find somebody. It always starts with one. And
Yep.
when you add one, then you can add more because you can trust. But show yourself you can trust again with somebody you actually genuinely can trust, and
Mhm.
that will call you out on your bullshit and you respect enough to have the same reciprocal response for yourself. And the
Absolutely.
big thing that I did was I wrote out, these are the things I fucked up. These are the things I was hurt by and I can no longer accept. Write out a fucking list for yourself, even if you have to fucking see it. You may have to see every single fucking thing you did wrong. Oh, I tipped that waitress $40 because I thought she was more attractive than anybody I've ever seen. Okay, you're a piece of shit for that. Write it down. Every little fucking thing that you've done that you could have slighted anybody. Funny thing is that's not even anything I've done. I don't tip waiters.
Yeah.
But no matter what it is, because once again, you struggle to understand why, because nothing's ever going to be explained to you. So find a fucking answer for yourself that's not just they're a piece of shit.
Yeah. Absolutely. Make something of it. Don't make it be this big dark cloud or dark spot over your life forever. Obviously there is a dark cloud that reigns over you for a while. That's part of the process, but don't allow it to be that black spot in your life forever. Just use it to catapult yourself in ways that you never dreamed you could, because you can. I never thought that I could be someone who had. Uh, I I have boundaries now, and I'm pretty happy about it. I had almost zero boundaries back then, and it's not that I'm a rigid person. It's not that I'm a mean person. It's just that I respect myself enough now, and I deserve more than what I was dealt in the past. And if any person can't have a level of respect for me other than to, go behind my back on in any respect, I invite you to see your way out of my life, because I honestly don't need people like that in my life. I need people who are going to be 10 toes down at this point. And if that leaves me with just 5 people in my life that I talk to, that's that. So be, and my 3 fucking grandkids, so be it. So be
It
it.
doesn't matter. I would rather have 3 motherfuckers that absolutely, if I pick up the phone and we need to do something, it is done.
Yep.
And I don't have to answer what the fucking questions are. And if I fucking rant in an ADHD manner, absolutely, it goes no farther than that. But as a whole, I know that if I pick up the phone, those 3 motherfuckers are going to be there regardless.
Yep.
And you know what? I thank all of the motherfuckers that are there, because I actually have a hell of a lot more than 3, and goddamn, it's surreal.
It is really good to be able to have that kind of support system. Some people have absolutely nobody because they have absolutely been allowed themselves to be isolated to that point. And it's okay, because you can reach out. Somebody will reach back out. Somebody that saw what was going on and couldn't say much of anything because they didn't want to end up on that isolation portion of your journey with them. They will be there. They will help pick you back up. And they will, help realize that it's important to have the feelings, sit in the feelings, keep track of those feelings, establish a new routine, seek that professional help that you need, to don't fall into that trap of blaming constantly, and waiting a little period of time before you move forward, to know that you're right up here. You're right for it. You don't want to be getting over somebody by getting under somebody else.
And, I started every single day with sending my mom and my aunt the same fucking message. I'm alive. I'm not arrested. I'm not okay, but I will be. Day 5, day 7, day 270, day 687. At some point, it made a point to say that I'm still, for some reason, haven't hit somebody yet. I don't know. Didn't do it yet. Probably won't. But you know what? Still not arrested. Still alive. Guess what? I'm okay.
Yeah. And you're actually on the flip side of that, you're thriving. And you have children in your household who are also thriving. So that's a W. That's absolutely a W in the grand scheme of things.
Regardless of what happened in your marriage, regardless of what happened in your divorce, understand that there's a person on the other side of that room, on the other side of that ring, on the other side of that piece of paper, on either one that you're signing. And just because, you're arrogant, they're arrogant, whatever, you feel like you deserve something in this situation, realize that they're a person. Be a human, understand who that is on the other side of the table. Because as a whole, that's genuinely the best advice I can give.
Yeah, even
Because
if they don't
regardless
treat
if they've
you,
done you wrong,
even if they don't treat you like one, at least you can go to sleep at night knowing that you treated them like one at the end of the day.
honestly, I would rather go to bed at the end of next month knowing only one thing changed and I'm getting nothing, but I was understanding and I showed I cared, than get everything and be a fucking dickhead and end up standing at a gravesite.
Yep.
Because humans are worth more than a signed piece of paper.
Absolutely.
So, guys, it's a lonely road, but it's only a lonely road because you allow it to be one. Keep your journey to heal. Keep going. And it's going to be okay.
Have a
See you
great
next
week,
time.
everybody. Thanks for hanging.